Hello everybody, it is Professor Parish and welcome to English 122. So I'm pretty excited about this class for this summer. English 122 is my favorite class to teach, and so I want to show you guys like where the class is, what to do with it, and just kind of different things about the course and how to navigate it for this summer. So I'm going to be down here in the corner in all of our lecture videos. But if you guys go to the dashboard, you guys, at the time I publish this, I'm not going to publish it until this video is on our page, but it's going to be right up here with my other classes. So if you have more than one class, it'll probably be up here. But I chose Beauty and the Beast and Gaston because I love Beauty and the Beast, and he had the book, and it seemed appropriate for talking about literature. How do you read? There's no pictures. So we are in English 122. Like I said, it's my favorite class to teach. We have a lot of fun with this course. It will go by very quickly because we only have 8 weeks. So I want to kind of navigate the course with you all and show you all where everything is at. So my biggest suggestion is to always start at the home page. A lot of students want to go to assignments, but you guys can't see assignments on here because it's not published yet, but if you click the assignments page, it's going to give you every assignment for the class in a giant list. That's a lot. So I would recommend going just to either the home page or the modules page, one of those two, and then just going week to week. I think that will be the simplest, and that's how I'm going to do the lecture videos, so I would do that way. But before we get into this first week, let's go to the course instructor page. So on course information, there is an MLA citation presentation, so if you need a refresher about MLA, which we are going to use in this class, the MLA citation presentation is right there. But above it is the course instructor page. So this is basically just giving you guys a little bit of information about myself as a teacher, as well as about the class. So this class is going to run from June 6th to July 28th, the last week of July. And that July 28th is on a Thursday. So the best way to get a hold of me is honestly my email, which I've included on here. You can also go to the inbox here out to the side and email me from there. That's the best way to get a hold of me because in the summer, I am on campus from 8 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday, usually, unless I have the day off. But my phone extension's on there, but email is the best way to get a hold of me because I usually check my email daily. So as long as you email me, I should be able to get back to you relatively quick. But these are the 2 textbooks for the class. I will go ahead and say, this literature book we use a lot. We're going to use it starting in week 1. We're going to use it all summer. So make sure you get this literature book. This handbook, Kurtzner and Mandel, you had to have it for English 121. We don't use it. It is there as a resource, so if you need help with grammar and punctuation or anything about sentence structure or mechanics, it is a wonderful resource, but we just don't go over it because you already go over it in English 121. I don't want to reiterate anything that you might have learned from that class, so if you don't need this book, feel free to take back. But if you want to keep it as a resource, by all means, keep it for the summer and then take it back when the semester is over. So, but yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And then there's my email, my extension. So that's pretty much it. So let's go back. Let's just go to the modules page. On the modules page, it'll show you the week-to-week classes. Now, for week 1, you'll notice that these 2 weeks are going to be unlocked for week 1. So if you get done with week 1's assignments and you want to go ahead and tackle week 2, you can work ahead. I usually open up everything a week early, so if you want to work ahead, you are welcome to. Now, you'll notice down here that as we scroll down, there's a little thing that says will unlock June 13th. So the weeks ahead, I do unlock things a week ahead of time, but usually it's just 1 week ahead of time unless a student emails me and they want me to unlock things early, which is fine. I just don't want to overwhelm you guys with too much all at once. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at the Module 1 guide. I would recommend when you start the class off each week, read that module guide, the first thing, just to see what's due, see what you got to read. Check that out first. That's the first step. And I'm going to go ahead and move this one up here. But Module 1 guide, you'll notice I'm going to put the lecture video right here for this week to watch, where I'm going to have you read the syllabus, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. And then we're going to have reading the art of short fiction, as well as these segments here are all from our textbook. And you'll notice they're just a couple pages each. Like there's the art of short fiction on page 5, plot pages 14 through 16, Writing Effectively, pages 22 through 24, Point of View, 26 through 28, and Character, pages 73 through 75. So they're just little 2-page segments. I'm not going to have you read the whole chapter because you'll notice in our textbook, most of this textbook are example stories or example plays or example poems. So the stuff in between is what we're going to read and talk about each week. But the main thing with this week's assignment is, for reading wise, is just to get you familiar with some elements of short story. So obviously your short story, it needs a few things to be a complete story. It has to have a plot, has to have characters, it needs to have a distinct point of view, it has to have a setting, which you'll talk about in the next week's segment of readings, and then it needs to have like style, symbolism, things like that. But plot and character are pretty important. Like if your story doesn't have a plot and a character, then what is it? So this set of pages kind of go over that in detail. Now, the paper 1 guidelines we'll talk about here in a minute, and then you do have 3 assignments for this week. You have your discussion forum, your reading response, and the thesis and outline for your first paper. This class will go by quickly. We have about a paper every 2 weeks, which you have the entire week to work on. You have 2 solid weeks to work on the paper, and the last paper you get a solid like near 3 weeks. So the third paper, drama, we don't spend a lot of time on because it's just, there's other, when we get to drama, we'll talk about why, but we don't spend a lot of time with drama in this class. It's mainly short story, poetry. We touch base on drama, and then we work on that research paper there at the end. And we'll talk about that more as we get closer. Okay, so I've got our syllabus uploaded here, so let's check that out and see what all is about that. So I'm going to pull up our syllabus here and open it up for you all to see, and we'll just kind of walk through it real quick. So as you can see, all of my contact info is at the top here of the syllabus, including my office hours, my email, and my extension to my phone. This entire class is basically a continuation of English 121. So you learned different types of writing in English 121, like informative, compare and contrast, argumentative. And so this class takes what you've learned and expands upon it, and in terms of being able to analyze literature, right? So I'm not going to read all of these course objectives to you, but the idea is that this will make you a more proficient analyzer and writer of literature. And a lot of students ask, they're like, well, what's the point of me knowing how to read a book and analyze it if that's not what I'm going into? But the skills that you learn, the being able to research, to organize your thoughts, to write, to outline, those are all things that you can use in any profession. The ability to organize thoughts and put it to paper is a skill that will help you in any profession, regardless of whether it involves a massive amount of writing or not. So it's that critical analysis that will also help you. We're just doing it with something fun, like literature, rather than doing it like economic thought or something like that. So mainly the 4 topics we're going to look at is the short story, poetry, drama, and a research paper. So the 3 first essays are 3 to 5 pages each. 3 pages being the minimum, 5 being around the most, but you can go over that. I'm not going to stop you. And then the final paper is going to be 8 to 10 pages, which seems like a lot, but we're going to kind of build up to it, right? And so as far as the course schedule goes, this is a breakdown of our week to week, right? You'll basically have 2 to 3 assignments each week in the course. And then as we get closer, your final paper will be due finals week. The textbooks that you need are right here listed. The points themselves, obviously, as far as plagiarism goes, write for yourself. I know you guys have been drilled in like extremely on how you should not plagiarize, and honestly, there are so many resources that instructors can use now to detect plagiarism. It's really easy for me to find out if you've plagiarized or not, and I don't want to do that. So as long as you write your own work, and you guys write so much in this class that if I see so-and-so writes a paper and it sounds and reads nothing like what they've wrote in the discussion forums, I'm going to be like, this doesn't sound like you, and I'll research it more, right? So just write your own stuff. As far as the grades go in the class, there are a lot of points in this class. This is not one of those, you got 2 tests in the class and that determines your grade. No, there are lots of points. So you do kind of have a cushion in this class to where, you know, if you're not feeling good and you miss one assignment, it's not going to be the end of the world. You just don't want to make a habit of it, right? So each of your first 3 papers are 100 points. The research paper is 200 points. 200 points of the class is designated to your exams. So you'll have 4 exams like over short story, poetry, drama, and MLA. And then you'll have a final exam that's worth 100 points. and it kind of is a culmination of the other exams together. And then you have your outlines, reading responses, etc. Those, like the thesis and outlines that you do, those are worth 300 points total. We do a discussion forum, it's worth 280 points, and then you'll do a final reflection. So yeah, it's all pretty balanced, and it's all just scattered out so that there's not one assignment that all the points are designated to. Now, obviously, half the class is writing the papers, so the papers are things that you definitely do not want to miss. You want to make sure you turn those papers in. Now, my biggest stickler as an instructor is this paragraph right here. You do have an entire week to complete the assignments, and up to a month. Well, I'm going to change that. Basically, you have 2 weeks, because up to a month in a regularly scheduled class. But you have 2 weeks to complete paper assignments. That's plenty of time. Plenty of time. Because of that, no work is accepted late. I do not take late work. It is my one stickler. If you miss an assignment on Sunday and you're like, hey, can I have till Monday or Tuesday? I'm going to tell you no. Just move on to whatever the next assignment is. This class will go so quickly that you don't have time to make up for work that's already due. You need to go ahead, just leave it. If you missed it on Sunday, just leave it and start working on the next assignment. There's just not time for stuff to snowball, especially in a summer class. So if you miss a discussion forum, if you don't turn in a paper on time, you're just gonna have to take the 0 and go. And that's just my policy. And I'm very, very strict on it. The only thing that possibly will hinder that is if you're in the hospital, or if you notify me there's been a death in the family or something extremely severe, that if it's outside of your control, like if you've had a death in the family, if you're being hospitalized, if you've broken a leg, if something has happened and it is outside of your control, talk with me on a one-on-one basis and we can work something out. But if you just forgot, or if your computer died, that's something you could prepare for. Like, just keep your computer charged. Don't wait till the last minute to turn in assignments. Like, those things are within your realm of control. So for that reason, I do not accept late work. Now, you'll notice here, you're responsible for completing work early if you know you're going to miss a deadline. So if you know you're going to be gone on Sunday when stuff's due, it's your job to get it done before Sunday. And you're also responsible for contacting and communicating with me at least 24 hours ahead of time if some technological error occurs. Now, I will warn you, on the weekends, I usually do not answer my email because I am on my email Monday through Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I take off. Now, I do check it occasionally, but if you've got an issue, you really need to try to work on this class throughout the week and get stuff figured out if there's a problem before Thursday afternoon. That way you can get a hold of me, all right? But yeah, if you have to go to your local library to do a class, I've had to do that. If you had to drive to a gas station Wi-Fi hotspot, I've had to do that. So I've pretty much been in every online student situation you can think of, and there is a workaround, I promise. I was that student in college that I was like, oh, I'll find a way to make it work. And so I know that there is a way that you can make it work. You just got to be diligent, all right? But that is where I am the most strict about, is deadlines. Now, ADA accommodations, those are listed on here, but our exams are not timed, so you shouldn't have to worry about any time restrictions, anything like that, and you do have a week to do the assignments. So again, I think it's plenty of time to do everything. I just want to be strict because I always have a student that's like, well, will you accept this late? And I'm like, nope. Like the lecture video, we talked about it. I don't do late work. So just make sure that you stay on top of things. Like, take this, make a list out of it, you can go into the calendar feature of your class, like right here, and the calendar feature will show you when things are due. You can see that I've got my classes color coded out here to the side, so you'll be able to see, like, if English 121 is in dark, or 122 is in dark blue, all the assignments due will be in dark blue, and you'll know when stuff is due. But I'll make it easy for you. All of my assignments are due on Sundays. So you have the whole week to do it. And when you go to click on the assignments, you'll notice here that tells you the due date and how many points it's out of. So like our discussion forum, which we'll talk about here in a second, is going to be due on June 12th, and it's out of 40 points. So before we get to that, let's talk about the paper guidelines. We'll wait on the paper guidelines. My dog may occasionally bark in my lecture videos, so just Huckleberry is down at my feet, just be forewarned. But yeah, we'll talk about the discussion forum here, and then we'll talk about the reading response, and we'll round out talking about the paper guidelines and the thesis and outline. All right. So for week 1, our discussion forums work like this. Each week, except for finals week, you'll have a discussion forum post where you answer some questions, and those are worth 20 points. They're based on grammar and spelling, and if the questions are adequately answered. Now, I don't put a word limit or a word count needed on these discussion forums because I know what'll happen. If I tell you I want 500 words, you know how much you're gonna write? 500 words worth. So I know how that works because I was in college too. I get that. So instead, I don't want to limit you to a word count. I'd like for you rather to answer the question substantially. Some people are more concise writers and they can get their point across in like one sentence, whereas it may take another person a paragraph. That's fine. We're all different types of writers. So as long as you answer the questions well enough, then you're fine. And I check for spelling and grammar. You also reply to at least 4 peers. So at least 4 of your classmates. Each peer response is worth 5 points. So there'll be 40 points total. And I checked the responses for grammar errors too. And you don't have to write long responses because I know 4 seems like a lot. You're like, man, 4 responses, that seems like quite a lot. They don't have to be long. Don't just say, I agree, or great work. Don't just say like 1 or 2 words. Like give an actual response. Be like, oh, hey, Brad, I thought your response was really cool. I liked your point about X, Y, and Z. That's all you need. It doesn't have to be crazy long. It just needs to be enough to take the place of a dialogue in class. So for this first week, we're just doing an icebreaker. I'd like to know if you have a major, what is it? If not, that's cool. Why are you taking this class? What is your biggest strength as a writer? Yes, you have one. You've made it to English 122, so I know you're a good writer. And what do you hope to improve on in this class? And then what is your favorite text? Why? This can be a movie, a novel, a drama, a poem, etc. As long as it's a form of writing, it will work. And what is your favorite and why? There's a lot of answers, and I always love this question because we get a lot of different types of answers, and I'm always excited to see what everybody's going to say. When I was teaching this class face-to-face, every semester there would be someone that would choose Nicholas Sparks. Every semester! And then one semester I was teaching, and it was like 18 girls and 3 guys, and we got through all the girls, and none of them picked Nicholas Sparks. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, we got to the last guy, and he was like, Dear John. I was like, dang it! So I was like, okay. But yeah, so I'm just curious what your favorite text is and why. This first discussion forum, I'll probably answer along with you because I like hearing your thoughts. But just note that even if I don't respond to everybody's posts, I do read them all. So I will be checking for spelling and grammar with those. So that's the discussion forum. You can also access the discussion forums over here out to the side where it says discussions. It'll take you to them. The reading response. The reading response basically is going to have you choose a story from our textbook. So it can be Death Has an Appointment in Samara, The Fox and the Grapes, The Camel and His Friends, Independence, or Godfather Death. One of those 5 stories. And then you'll choose a second story, either A Rose for Emily, The First Year of My Life, A Worn Path, or Sonny's Blues. And then finally, you'll choose one from this section, which is A Bullet to the Brain, Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been? And then Recitative Cathedral. I can't say the name of it. Recitative Cathedral. And so you'll choose one of these 3 stories, and then you'll answer these questions below in your reading response. So you'll do like a brief intro being like, here's the 3 stories I picked. And then question 1, describe your first story and what element of short story it uses most effectively. Which does it use least effectively? So does it have good characters, a good plot? Does it have bad characters or not as great of a plot? Like, which does it use most effectively and least effectively? Second, with the second story, what is the point of view and why do you think it was chosen for this specific section? With the third story, describe the characters and why you think it was chosen to represent the character section. And then finally, which of the 3 stories do you like best and why? Which do you like least and why? And so these are all pretty much, and my dog is barking in the background, so apologies, but these are all very opinion-based questions. So I'm just mostly curious about, after reading these 3 stories, which did you like best and which did you like least? And just explaining your answer. So that's the reading response. And then here are the paper guidelines for paper 1. Paper 1 is all about short story. So you've got some options for this paper, right? You can do one of 3 things. You can either, 1, do some creative writing. and construct your own story, which would be cool, using the elements of short story. If you don't want to do creative writing, you can analyze and review a short story that is not in our textbook. So if there's a short story that you really like and you want to review it and it's not in our textbook, that's fine. Or you can compare and contrast two stories between chapters 1 and 14 in our textbook. So you can either use our textbook and analyze the story. If you know a short story you like, you can analyze it outside of it, or you can write your own. So you got 3 options. The main guidelines are it needs to be 3 pages, 3 full pages, 1-inch margins, and 12-point legible font. That's the guidelines as far as formatting goes. It should be an essay format with an introduction and a conclusion. Now, if you have a creative writing option, obviously your intro is not going to be a standard intro like the other 2 options, but you know what I mean. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then if you choose to end your story on a cliffhanger, that's fine. It just needs to be apparent. And then I would like you to cite your textbook and MLA, as well as any optional sources that you use. So we're going to practice MLA with this first paper. Just you're going to have a works cited page at the very end that just cites our textbook and MLA. I want to see how good you are at MLA right now to see where we're at. And then we'll kind of go from there depending on how everybody does. And then you do need to have a separate works cited page and an in-text citation if you use that in your paper. Now for this first paper, if you're just citing your textbook, if you talk about characters, if you analyze and talk about characters, then yeah, you may need to use an in-text citation. But if you're just writing a creative short story, just have a works cited page at the end that has your textbook cited, and that will be fine enough. So as far as due dates go, the thesis is due this Sunday, June 12th. The paper is going to be due Sunday, June 19th. And if you choose to revise, it's going to be due Sunday, July 3rd. So 2 weeks from this. So you get 2 weeks to revise after you get your papers back. So if you write your paper and you turn it in, you get a B on it, you'll have 2 weeks to revise it and make an A, basically, if you choose to do so. And so how it's evaluated is that you'll get 20 points for the intro and conclusion, 35 points for spelling and grammar, 30 points for the content and analysis, and 15 for the formatting and page length. So it's pretty well balanced. And then obviously no late papers are accepted for credit. So yeah, that is our guidelines. And so for paper 1, your thesis and outline, I just want you to tell me, what are you writing about? Which of the 3 options did you pick? What is your topic? And then I want you to create me a very skeletal, basic framework of an outline. So this can be really basic, just like points 1, 2, and 3. Like, here's what I'm going to be talking about. And if you need an example of this, I'll try to find an example to put on here this week. But you can also email me if you want an example of the outline itself. All right. So those are the assignments for this week. The discussion forum, the reading response, and the paper outline. And then you've got some readings and paper 1 guidelines to look at. And that's pretty much it. If you get done with all that and you decide to be bold and work ahead to week 2, you can go ahead, but I won't record week 2's lecture video until next Saturday or Sunday, the 11th or 12th. All right. So as always, I know I just dumped a lot of information on you, a lot of info, so please feel free to rewatch this video. Please feel free to email me with any questions that you have. But otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining me in English 122. It's going to be a lot of writing, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I will be back next week to talk about week 2 of English 122. Bye.